All right, thanks for joining us on another episode of Guardian Safe and Locks YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about hiring a locksmith, what scams you may encounter while trying to hire a locksmith, and what to watch out for when looking for a locksmith, or any service industry in general. I guess it could be applied to, but specifically in our trade, locksmithing and security, CCTV, access control, all that stuff. In our trade, there is a huge amount of fraud. Matter of fact, it is a big problem. It's commonly talked about amongst all the locksmiths and people in the trade. It is a massive problem, and it's not just a local problem. This is a national problem. It might even be a global problem, actually. And it happens in other trades like AC and electrical and all these different things. Excuse me. So, I'm gonna tell you some of the common scams that we deal with, scams that I've seen, scams that maybe owners would deal with, or maybe sales departments might deal with, and scams that maybe your customers might have to deal with. So there's different things. There's scams that you as the consumer will have to deal with and overcome and be aware of. And then there'll be scams as a business owner of what you have to be careful and what you have to look out for. So I guess we'll start off first with what kind of scams as a business owner that you would have to come up with. So some of the most common scams that I've gotten, you get a lot of these emails too. They'll be like, for instance, here's your receipt for that purchase you made from, and they know you're in the industry. It'll be like, from whatever lock and this and that. Click here to see it, right? And you're just like, you obviously that's a bait to get you to click on something to get maybe a virus or whatever. I don't know, but do not click on those. Anything fishy like that, first thing I do, I go up to the email address and I click on it. And I want to see, because it was like, oh, it's AT&T sending me a bill. And you click on it and it's like, blah, blah, blah at, aceproductivity.com or something like that. That makes no sense. What is that? Or just some made up Yahoo account or Hotmail account or whatever. So always inspect the email address it's coming from and then never click on the button. And if you don't know what it is, don't click on it. And another thing is too, it'll be like, oh, here's your receipt. Click to view your receipt. Seems very innocent, but anytime anybody wants to give you something and you don't seem to know where that's from or recognize it, click on the email, see where it's coming from, verify it. Don't click on the link. Matter of fact, I send them a response. If it's in question, if I have any doubt that maybe this might be legit, I don't take my chances with the click. What I do is I send them an email and I say, cool, what is this in regards to? And right away, it's not worth their time. They're not going to respond. They're like, oh, this guy's already checking what I'm doing. They don't bother with you at that point. They'll move on to the next easier target. So be careful for those bait and click almost kind of scams, bait and click. So we can call that one of the scams you have to deal with, called bait and click scam. And that's a scam that you have to deal with as an owner or a parts person or purchasing manager in a business. So be careful for the bait and click emails that are trying to get a virus. People sometimes try to do it to take the competition out. Or some people just do it because they just want to mess up people's lives. I don't know. But be careful for those email scams, which we'll call bait and click. Unlike your bait and switch, which we'll talk about a little later. So that's one of the most common scams I get. I don't really have anybody come in the store or face-to-face talk to you for scams that are usually when they're trying to scam a business, they want to do it all digitally. They want to be invisible. They don't want you any way to be able to track this. So another method of what they do, and this is really common, I actually remember the very first time I got one of these emails, because you'll get an email and it'll say, hey, I need these parts fairly quickly. I need 32 electronic deadbolts in this color, 25 in this color, 13 of these. I need 5 of these multimeters, like random stuff you don't even sell necessarily. 10 multimeters, 10 monitors, and 2 PCs and 2 laptops and whatever, all this crazy stuff. And you're like, oh wow, that's a lot of opportunity to make money. This guy needs all this crazy stuff. And you're thinking, okay, good, this would be a good opportunity. But also your head kind of goes, this doesn't sound right, right? So that's my first time I ever got one of those emails. I remember it happened to be only things that were in my trade. It was like, I want 250 of these electronic deadbolts and 50 of these and 80 of these and whatever. And then you respond email, they'll always respond. They're even getting smarter, so they'll put a phone number so you can call them. So they'll put a phone number. I call the guy and I say, hey, you need all these right here. I don't know, does it have to be this, finish, and that? Oh no, finish doesn't matter. Well, it's a sign right away. Are you gonna order 200 something of these and finish doesn't matter? Okay. Finish meaning the color of the product. Well, I noticed you wanted these electronic deadbolts. Did you want them in a Schlage keyway or did you want them in quick? It doesn't matter. You know, when they're always just doesn't matter. I just want to spend a bunch of money. That red flag should start going off, okay? Because nobody just blows money like that. Anyway, if you dig on it, usually you'll find out it goes something like this. You'll get the email, has a list of a bunch of stuff. You say, okay, yeah, that's fine. You want to get this? Let me get some pricing for you. We require, you know, I'll need payment before I ship it to you or whatever. And what they try to do is they try to get you to send all that. Well, they send like a preliminary check or a payment. And then as soon as they get verification that's been sent, then they'll pull it back and they'll pull the payment back and cancel it. And then your stuff's already on the way to the customer. And you're out the money if you can't get the money back and you don't know who they are. It's fake address, fake business name. Good luck getting that back. So don't fall for those scams. It's almost, we'll call those scams probably like it's giant or big purchasing scams. So right, they just send you a big list of products. They get you to see money signs and then they get you to bite and hopefully send them the product and then they can cancel payment and then they can sell all the stuff you gave to them. So beware of those scams. Now let's talk about scams that you'll have to deal with as a customer or consumer. So in the locksmith trade, this is a big problem, especially, not that it doesn't happen in normal business hours, but when they really clean up is when all the companies like us are no longer paying for our advertisement because we're closed for the night or the weekend or whatever. They'll keep all those advertisements out there with Google AdWords and fake map listings and fake locations on the map. And they'll keep all these up and you'll think it's a legit company, fake reviews, everything. Well, the way that you can kind of tell if they're a scammer in our industry specifically is when you call them, for one, if you go check out where the location is, it's never there. It's always, and then what I mean by scammer as in, these are people who either technically licensed as a locksmith, and I say technically, or aren't licensed but pretending to be licensed, or just have a very basic knowledge of it and are trying to do some work just here and there. So they'll put all these map listings out and you go to Google and be like, oh, here's a locksmith near me. I'll call this guy. And you call them and usually it sounds like most of the time when you're getting a scammer, you're gonna get almost like a call center. And usually it's a female. Now in our trade, there's not a lot of females. There are some, you know, but there's just not a ton of them. And almost all the time when you're dealing with these scammers, whenever you call, you'll see it in the map, you'll be like, okay, let me call this locksmith, right? Oh, they have 500 reviews of Perfect 5.0. But they're all like super recent and they all are very generic. They're paying for those reviews. But anyway, you click on that and you call them and usually it sounds like this. Locksmith. That's the first thing they say is locksmith. Well, anytime you call here, I'm gonna say Guardian Safe and Lock, you know, and I'm gonna give you an invoice with the name on it. I'm gonna, you know, our cars are marked, we're in uniform, things like that. When you call these call centers, they are usually, what it seems like, is they'll have a female or two answering just phone calls. Locksmith, locksmith, because they have so many fake locksmith listings out there. They don't remember what names they're using because they'll do stuff like this and no joke. It'd be like Allstate locksmith and it'll literally have the two hands of Allstate and it'll have Allstate locksmith because they're running out of names to use. So they use everything and they're playing off the keyword of Allstate of people searching the word Allstate and it gives it higher ranking. So they'll do something like that or it'll be called like a best locksmith or whatever city you're in with 20 different variations of locksmith. And they'll blame all these listings, these business listings with all these fake reviews on there. And what it is they'll have one guy that gets licensed as a owner manager and gets that license here in Texas at least. And they'll make everybody they know, every single pal they've ever known, a locksmith. And they'll just give them all licenses down the line. They don't even have experience. They'll teach them how to do basic rekeys, basic little things, and not teaching them how to do it the right way either, because we've seen their work. And what they'll do is they'll say, hey, great opportunity to make money. You know, we go out there, we pump these prices up, and we get big time paydays. So the call center will take the call, they'll throw it out to a bunch of you guys. You guys are all contractors and not even employees. And those guys will contact you and they will make up the price. And their job is to get as much money as they possibly can get out of you because they got to split it with the call center guy. Because they're just contractors, not even a company. And they'll give you a generic receipt if you even get a receipt with no address, no phone number, nothing on it. And good luck warranting that when you're done too, if you have any issues, because they're not coming back out. So they have the fake listings, they'll answer the phone, you know, locksmith. And another thing is is you get it's a bait and switch. So I'm gonna bait you with a low service charge, and then when I get there, I'm gonna switch it up on you and tell you, oh, it's this and this and this, here's the price, right? So usually they'll give you a $15 to $29 service charge is what they charge. In our industry, I'd say 55 on the low end to maybe 75 on the high end of a service charge is a legitimate service charge for a locksmith security company. So right away they're saying, oh, $15 service charge. And then part of their thing is, well, how much does it cost to rekey my house? Oh, we have a $15 service charge. And then the locksmith needs to take a look and see what kind of locks you have. But the prices start at $20 a lock to rekey. Oh, okay, cool, no big deal. You're thinking, okay, $29 service charge or $15 service charge and maybe 20 bucks to rekey. Okay, cool, no problem, come on out. And they leave the prices start at, or they don't give you as much details as possible. They give you the least amount of detail as possible so that you can get you to bite. And then when they get out there, the contractor shows up and it's his job just to boost the prices up as much as he can. I'll give you a couple stories or experiences. I had a customer call me one time. They call me just many times this has happened. Hey, how much you charge to open a car? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any trucks available right now, but you can try this company. Oh, it's all right. I just want to know how much you charge. I want to make sure I'm not getting ripped off. Oh, okay, no problem. We charge, where are you at? Oh, I'm right down the road. Okay, it's $65 service charge. I mean, $65 to get your car open. Oh, wow. Oh, this guy just charged me $150. You got ripped off, sorry. They do that stuff all the time. So they catch you in your desperate need of service. You're locked out of your car. They get there, you've already waited a long time, and then they bump the price way up and oh, I didn't know it was a Toyota Camry in 1999. I thought it was a 97. So different. It's not. That's their game. They play these games and they lie to you and they manipulate you. There's videos all over the internet of people busting these guys. Maybe that might be a good video, actually. We might do that. Anyway, so be careful for those scammers. They will bait and switch you all day. I have another experience. I had someone that had their house rekeyed. I think it was about an hour drive from here. I want to say it was in Texas City. And she called me and said, how much does it cost to have a house rekeyed? So here's your service charge because you're way out there. You're kind of far for us. It'd be a $75 service charge, $13.50 per keyhole to rekey, and then copies of keys are $3. Why? What'd you pay? And I'll ask her, what'd you pay? Well, I had this guy come out. He charged me $750 to rekey 2 doors. I was like, whoa. Sent me a copy of the receipt. Sure enough, $750 rekey 2 doors. Someone that never does it maybe thinks that's normal. Well, it's not. Usually 2 doors, talking about under $150. And then she called back to tell the company, you ripped me off. I'm going to cancel that charge. And then basically they threatened her and said, well, I would advise against that, is what they said. So she felt threatened enough to where she paid them and then paid us to come out and redo it. So we've had many experiences like that. So you don't want to get caught up in these scammers. If it sounds too good to be true, if it sounds like you're calling a call center, if it sounds fishy, if they can't give you specifics on prices, get away from them because they are a scammer. And I would, and this is no joke, I'd say about 80% of the listings, give or take, are leaned more towards the scamming side than the real listing. I'd say about 80% of them, 8 out of every 10 listings are going to be more than likely scammer. I don't know in different cities and different things like that, but if you go on there, there are way more scammers than there are real companies. So look for pictures on the internet that show inside the store, views of employees doing things in the stores, because they'll just go take generic photos and they'll pop it up on Google Maps and pretend like they have these stores and things. I actually have mapped them out before, driven around Houston and go, oh, Google, this one's not here, picture, submit, take it off. And I'll go to the next location, take a picture, submit, take it off. Because we're having to fight these guys all the time. They're constantly flooding the market with map listings, and they're constantly coming in and pretending like their prices are lower to get them out there. And then when they get out there, their price is more than they would have paid us, but we lost the job already. So beware from those guys. These guys make a living. They're not good people. They don't care about your security, and they will threaten you if you try to cancel their payments. It's happened multiple times. I've been told that multiple times. And they're very poorly trained. They don't know what they're doing. They're not even trained. It doesn't seem like it. You can tell by their workmanship that they know just enough to get them in trouble. They have no uniform, no marked vehicles, no name on their uniform. They don't give you a quote. They give you wishy-washy pricing. You don't get an invoice with a name on it or a logo. Some may even claim that the number of pins can affect the price that a lock is, to rekey that lock. It's literally a millisecond worth of work if it's a 5-pin versus a 6-pin. So that's just a way that they can get more money out of what they're doing. It makes no dang difference on the price. They'll also insist on cash payments. A lot of time they get aggressive or threaten you or say, I'm gonna call the police if you don't get me cash, because you can't track cash, you can't cancel a cash payment, you can't void a check, you can't void a credit card transaction. They don't, I mean, you can, they don't want you to do that, is what I'm saying, sorry. So they're like, pay me cash, because then you can't get your money back. They always operate out of, it seems like, personal vehicles usually too, or unmarked vehicles. So be aware, this is something that I'm sure every trade has to deal with in one way or another. It's a big issue in the locksmith and security trade. Look for a company that's bonded, insured, licensed. Make sure they have a footprint online, if you know what I mean. If you know, like us, you can go online and be like, oh, this guy's got 3 YouTube channels. He's got a company here. He's got blog posts. He's got, okay, this is a real company, right? So you go look at some other ones and it's like cookie cutter. It's like, here's the box where the things are supposed to go. Here's where all the generic information is supposed to go. They'll list all these prices. They'll put in like 100 different services they put, and they'll put like price starts at $5, could go as high as $200 for each service. It's a huge window of pricing. They put all this stuff on their website. You can go look at a real locksmith or a couple of locksmith sites that you know are real, and then go look around at some of these other named ones that you'll find online, and you'll start to notice and be like, oh, this is the exact same website as that one and that one and that one and that one. Different colors, shuffled up a little bit, different names. And they just do this. They put thousands of these websites out and thousands of these listings out, and they flood the market. Matter of fact, our trade got so fed up with it that we were gonna go after Google. Some of our organizations were going after Google and were threatening to sue basically, and then they started really tightening up on it. And then they tightened it up on it a little bit, but there's workarounds again, and they worked around it, and Google wants money regardless, so it is what it is. But yes, they have made some leaps and bounds in protecting against that, but it's not enough. Still need real locksmiths like us to point them out. We also need consumers like you to point them out and go online and say, this is not a real company, this is not here. These guys ripped me off, and leave those reviews on those guys, because we need to get those guys out of the market. And usually what they'll do too is they'll get you to leave a good review by saying, well, you know, it's $300 and they already know you're mad. I'll knock it down to $200, but you got to leave me a 5-star review right now. And then you're leaving a company that's bad reputation, that's going to do bad, and you just gave them a 5-star review to save you $100, but it saved you $100, right? So you don't want to get in that kind of a situation. So anyway, hopefully this helps you avoid that. And hopefully if you're a business owner, this helped you with some tips that I've had, things that I've had to deal with that you might have to deal with, or you might have already dealt with. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you learned some things. We appreciate the support as always. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're on all the social media platforms. And don't forget, we have 2 other YouTube channels. We have Udropreneur, and we have Guardian Approved. I'll have them put some links up here for you on those channels so that you can check those channels out. But please subscribe to those channels. We appreciate the support as always, and thanks for tuning in.